sideways. All right. Good evening, everyone. Great. Look at the massive amount of audience here. They're here tonight. I am so happy to see so many happy faces in the audience. All right, can we go ahead and do a roll call? I'll call the order.
Commissioner Barron,
Here.
Commissioner Rana.
Here.
Vice Chair Walton,
Here.
Chair Woodson,
Here.
Commissioner St. John,
Here.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Here.
You have quorum.
Thank you. Stand and we'll do the pledge of allegiance in the moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next up today, we have special announcements or communications from the floor. We have anybody online today that would like to speak on an agenda, on something that is not in our consent agenda today?
No one has raised their hand.
And obviously, we don't have any comments from the floor here, except from the ghosts. So moving on, next we have ex parte communications for quasi judicial matters. Open up to the council commission. Do we have any items that we want to identify pertaining to tonight? Okay, nothing there. Moving on, consent agenda. The first thing we have is approval of the minutes from last week. So we get into that. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Walton, for sharing last month's meeting, since I couldn't be here. I appreciate you doing that and everybody being nice to her. So I heard she is nice, much nicer than I am. So any comments about the minutes from last month? Okay, and we go through.
Commissioner Barron, Commissioner Rana.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Walton,
Yes.
Chair Woodson,
Yes.
Commissioner St. John,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thanks. All right, next up, we only have one item on the agenda tonight for public hearings. That is the design review, permit review for the changes at Sanctuary Beach Resort at 3295 Dunes. And I guess Allison, you are presenting tonight?
I sure am.
There, you got borders.
All right, okay. No problem.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody. It's been a while since I've been here at the Planning Commission. I'm Allison Hunter. I'm the Planning Services Manager for the City of Marina and the assigned planner for this project. This is a design review for the Sanctuary Beach Resort at 3295 Dunes Drive. Next slide, please. This project consists of a variety of landscaping, hardscaping, signage, lighting improvements to two already established areas within the Sanctuary Beach Resort. These are the Sun Bowl area and the lodge patio area. The lodge patio is receiving a substantial remodel and update to landscaping, lighting, surfacing, and the addition of a new large pergola. This also includes like some gas fire pits, kind of some spaced out seating areas, things like that. And then the Sun Bowl area also was established during the original construction of the resort in the late 1990s, but it was never actually built out to support guest amenities and things. So they're just now doing that. There will be pedestrian level lighting and new directional and monument signs proposed. Just to note, this project does not propose any removal of any existing trees. So this site does have an interesting background. The property is located in the coastal zone on the west side of Dunes Drive. So it is the only privately owned property on, like, basically on the dunes side of the city of Marina. The resort was originally approved by the city of Marina in 1996 through the issuance of a coastal development permit, along with a variety of other types of permits, and the certification of an EIR, Environmental Impact Report. The city's approval was appealed to the Coastal Commission at the time, and the Coastal Commission later approved the project, but at a much smaller scale, and that's what actually ended up getting built. As a result of the Coastal Commission's permit approval, the Coastal Commission has retained all future development permit authority over the property, but the city retains non-CDP authority. So anytime there's design review required, or if there was a conditional use permit required, or any other non-coastal type of entitlement, the city would still do that, but any coastal development permits get handled through the state. The two gathering spaces that we're talking about, again, were created as part of the original Coastal Commission approval. The next process for the applicant will be, once they receive the local permit approval for this design review, then they will apply for the coastal development permit through the Coastal Commission. So here's just a highlight of the improvements to the lodge patio area. New concrete paving. They are proposing a 27% increase in pervious area. All of this is subject to grading permits, stormwater plans, etc. So they're proposing an increase in pervious area, but they will have to show through additional permitting that the stormwater can be addressed appropriately. They're proposing a new approximately 600 square foot and 10-foot tall pergola. You can see in that picture there, it's kind of the black hatched area just to the west of the building. And it will have hanging lights and other amenities. New landscaping, fire pits, seating areas, and perimeter landscaping are included in this area. They will be replacing the existing grass with artificial turf and some new decomposed granite or DG granite surface seating areas, and then a variety of pedestrian scale lighting in this area. And then in the Sun Bowl, so the Sun Bowl, as you see in your site plans that you have as part of your packet, has remained just completely empty. It's just like a sandy area right now. So they're looking to build that out to the extent that was already considered in previous permitting. But significant landscaping here, including 9 new trees, and then some significant native dune plantings that will occur in that darker hatched areas. The plant palette includes California natives and drought tolerant species as required by the city of Marina. Installation of a variety of pedestrian paths in this area of DG concrete and flagstone materials, seating areas with gas fire pits, and then down shielded pedestrian path lights throughout this little area as well. Signage is very comprehensive. You see lots of signs they're proposing, mostly of Corten steel or aluminum material painted to look like Corten steel. But they're proposing 25 of these little accessory signs. Basically, those are going to be dotted around the perimeter of the site to keep people out of the natural dune areas. So 25 of those are 1 foot 6 inches in the code, as described in your staff report. The code allows 1 by 1. So if the commission deems appropriate to have 1 foot 6 inch by 1 foot 6 inch, that's part of your approval package. Also 32 directional and public service signs. that will be illuminated. Those little accessory signs are not illuminated. But these larger, an example there is shown in that vertical sign in the middle of the screen. So 32 of those that will be illuminated. Their lighting plan shows that all of their lighting types are 2700 Kelvin, which is below the city's standard of 3000 Kelvin. So these will be warm temperature lights on dimmable lighting fixtures. And then their big monument sign out there at the front. Go ahead. So just in summary, the proposed landscaping, signage, lighting, and general guest experience improvements are customary to the resort use and were contemplated during the certification of the EIR. The current project qualifies for also the 3 CEQA exemptions. So not only is it consistent with the original EIR, but these proposed uses also have their own CEQA exemptions, which are listed there in your proposed or recommended action. Because the proposed improvements are located within the existing developed resort grounds, the project does not result in an increase in the density or intensity of use or impact, nor would it impact sensitive ESHA or environmentally sensitive habitat areas, but rather reflect a timely upgrade and enhancements to the existing facility. So that concludes my staff report. I'm open to any questions. We did provide our recommended motion there that if upon deliberation, somebody would like to make that motion, it's there for you. Also, I believe the architect is on the call. Miss Julia, is she on there?
It just says Zoom. Just says Zoom user. I don't know if that's her.
Can you allow her to talk? Maybe
Yeah.
Zoom user, are you Julia Oberoff, agent for this project?
No, she has not.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe she'll be joining in a little bit, but
Okay.
for now, if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them or at least attempt, and we'll see if Julia joins our meeting.
Let me see if she tried to email. Do you have your phone?
Any
I think
questions?
my only question that, the only question I have is on adding the 9 trees, and I know we are going to 15-gallon ones, which will help spur growth, especially in this area along the coast, is the, going back to the maintenance plan on that and what they're not gonna want them to die, but at the same time, knowing that we get an offshore breeze in the days, it seems like even at 15 gallons, that's going to take, that has a high potential for failure.
Do you recall what sheet? Looks like L21. No, that's grading. What? I just want to see if the tree locations, let's see. Looking at sheet L 4.1, the tree locations are along the eastern side of the sun bowl and perhaps a little bit protected from that breeze a little bit rather than being like right on the front of the dune. But if
And that's what it's
you're,
hard. I mean, the Sunbelt is I know where the Sunbelt is one that they've had undeveloped planters and boxes, burn pits there before. Or
Yeah.
fire pits.
Mhm.
I'm totally thinking explosives right now. Different subject completely. Fire pits down in that area. So I'm assuming it's more on the leeward side than the windward side anyway. And that's what will help do it. I'm just, again, that's just, mine is just knowing that it will take a while as this, whatever the selection is, that they actually are not just picking the right palette that's good for the main city, but a palette that's good for that specific area.
Mhm.
I think that's my only concern on that. We'll just go left to right. Commissioner Jacobson.
I actually don't have a question. I wish the architect was on here though, because as I reviewed this, I was pretty impressed with the way the signage and the way they laid things out was very consistent with the dunes.
Mhm.
I mean, the color palette was just kind of blended in, and the only thing that was a little odd was the size of those directional signs, those big ones, but I don't think it's gonna interfere with anything, but I was impressed with that. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay, Commissioner Walton, or you didn't turn yours on. No, you're up. No, he lost his chance.
So mine is, with respect to the conditions of approval.
Mhm.
And I do like that. I don't really want to change anything, but perhaps with respect to 12 and 13. I don't know if these, I guess I should start with a question. Are the conditions listed by number with respect to importance?
No,
Okay, can we bring 12 and 13 up closer to the top? I mean, just with respect to the culture and what is it I'm trying to say? It seems like it while there is no importance on how these are listed, it priority wise, I would like to see them closer to the top. Just a reorganization of them. So they come closer to the top.
if that's the pleasure of the whole commission, I'd be happy to reorder those.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that.
Fine with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'll go back to you. Just a little bit. Commissioner St. John.
Were there any new buildings in part of this?
No.
Just the landscaping and signage.
Correct. The arbor or pergola is technically a structure under the building code, but not a building.
Right.
That I'm sure clarifies everything for you.
Okay. Have they experienced in the last, goodness, 30 years? Any parking issues?
Not
Well,
that's
no.
been reported to the city that I know of.
Okay. Right. I'm fine with everything.
Uh, Commissioner Rana? Everybody wants to speak today.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, I have a couple of questions. What are the likely concerns the Coastal Commission can have on this project? Because they all have raised earlier some concerns and the project was reduced in its scope.
Mhm. Yeah, there have actually been over the years since this project was originally approved by the Coastal Commission, there have been some very minor modifications that Coastal Commission has approved through coastal development, either a full coastal development permit or coastal development permit waivers, which they have the authority to do. For this particular landscaping and kind of amenities, basically what they're looking at is if the project is going to have an intensification or densification of use, that's when they start really digging in. That's why on my last slide, I kind of commented on those two things, that this is landscaping and cosmetic modifications that were considered and already contemplated like it through the earlier project. So I doubt that this is going to raise any big red flags with the Coastal Commission. Coastal Commission is really more concerned with new development that's going to have potential impacts to coastal resources, coastal access, those kind of things.
And the second question is that some time ago, we discussed the impact of sea rise
Mhm.
in this area.
Yep.
So is any of this project likely to be affected according to that report that we discussed earlier?
Yes, the Sun Bowl area, I don't remember the time frame off the top of my head, but the Sun Bowl area, I believe, is within the I don't, perhaps 100-year sea level rise threshold. I don't know if, I can't remember for sure which threshold it is. But because this is landscaping, it's not structure or buildings for habitation, this is not going to rise to the level of concern in that regard. If they were proposing new units, that would be a problem, for sure.
And one more, that this area is available to the general public for access.
Mhm.
Is this project going to impact accessibility to the normal beach goers?
No, these areas are, the Sun Bowl specifically is delineated away, it's delineated apart from the public access path that's signed. There's, for whoever's been out there, the public has access through a nice little split rail fence path to the actual wave slope to the public beach. So the Sun Bowl area is separated for that. It's not intended to be public access to the coast. It's intended to be used by the guests at the resort. So it's separated and delineated as a different area.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's it. That's all.
Any other comments?
Just one follow-up.
Okay.
What is the resort currently called? Is it-
This is a little bit of a complicated situation. There is Sanctuary Beach Resort, which is a hotel. Within that, there's the Worldmark timeshare development. So there are two different entities. The Worldmark timeshare is not a part of this project at all. Totally separate. They're not participating. They don't own the grounds. So everything that's proposed as part of this project is purely the Sanctuary Beach Resort property.
Originally back in 1996 or so, did it go under a different name?
Yes. Yes,
So
I believe
sometime-
it was called King's Resort or, yeah, something like that.
Okay, but the Sanctuary Beach Resort is the current name for the last many years?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Commissioner Ronan, yes.
So one of my questions I asked about the sea rise impact. So the plan is to build certain structures to kind of reinforce the area. I hope this project does not interfere in any of those plans.
Are you referring to like the little border retaining walls and things around the Sun Bowl area, or what specifically?
No, to kind of take some mitigation measures against the sea rise. There were some plans suggested to reinforce the area so that water does not come up.
Oh,
So if this development is going to interfere in those plans, that's a concern.
no. And there are no plans for this property to have any kind of shoreline protection. In fact, that's forbidden as part of the original coastal development permit. They're not allowed to ever have shoreline protection on this property.
Thank you.
I'm not aware of any coastal protection for the city of Marina, anything planned. I thought.
There is nothing planned, and I don't want to get too far off topic on this very large thing we could talk about for a long time, but there's nothing planned for the city of Marina at this time.
So the landscaping and signage and stuff will have no effect on the,
No,
anything that'll happen.
no. The requirements, this development agreed to managed retreat of their oceanfront buildings rather than construct any kind of hard armoring shoreline protective devices.
Commissioner Brown, you have a comment?
This is not really about this specific project, but just in general, has anybody talked about what might be the effect of the impact of the development of this huge campsite across from
Not-
Imjin?
That's
on
not,
this-
Yeah.
well, number
I
one,
know
that's,
it's not part of the
uh,
discussion.
can we keep, well, we could come back to that.
That's
Number
not in
one-
the city of Marina.
Number one, it's part of the state.
Yeah.
Property is not part of the city of Marina, so it doesn't cover us. Number two, it's not part of this
Yeah.
conversation. So we could probably discuss it separately offline and just information flow,
Yeah,
but I would like to keep it out of this.
Check.
thank you.
I didn't see.
Um,
No.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any other questions, I think. So my only one, coming back to the comment on the 5 foot, the 1 by 5 foot, Commissioner Jacobson,
Mhm.
like, it's just a navigation sign. It's like that tall.
Yeah, they're tall.
Yeah.
5 feet
I
tall.
think my only one, and kind of coming back to that though, is given this is Corton's 14 steel that they're using, and the process of 14 steel, I think the only thing and again, I think it's for a demonstration of the permit, I'm guessing it may not be the exact way. That rust, assuming they're using type A, it'll rust to kind of a purplish color when it's all done. That's the typical, yeah, I do software during the day and I know how what color steel rusts to at night. It's kind of, but anyway, I mean, the whole concept of the 14 steel is that when the rust actually creates the protective barrier, and the reason they're using the 14 steel in a marine environment is literally because it's going to rust anyway, and that rust actually is going to be productive instead of putting a wood or something else that would have a high maintenance cost. So I
Oh.
completely understand why they're doing it. The thing that I did when I looked at the signage itself was it looks like they were going to have some type of directional kind of background of this area. So it's hard to tell because like, so, I mean, in the packet on page 10, they've kind of the warning signs but then above it, they've got all this text that this is what the habitat is
Right.
that's
Yeah.
here. And my only one is, I think that's really a great idea. But when it comes to font and text and how that's presented, and again, it's not my property and I don't think it necessarily is germane to whether we approve this or not. But just kind of the comment that if they're going to promote that, then making sure that as it rusts and produces that coating, that it'll still be legible over time.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure that the color palette that they've chosen is actually a really good one for the patina that it's going to end up taking. So
I mean, and if
I think
that's-
again, it's not, I
That
don't,
staff can have that conversation with them. So,
I mean, it took, when I first looked at it, I didn't even see the writing until I happened to be on my computer and I zoomed in. It's like, oh wait, there's writing here and I looked
Mhm.
at it. So, all right. If there's no other issues, would somebody like to make a motion?
I so motion.
Sorry, have you gone to public comment yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Public
so
comment.
we do have one member of
Do
the
we have
public who
somebody in
wants
the
to
public
speak.
that's-
Yes. So
Again, you didn't mention that. I asked before.
I was.
Okay, so we have
waiting
public,
for
thank
the
you, Steph,
commission to
very
finish
much.
doing
We'll
it.
open up for public comment. There's
So-
nobody in the audience here and there is somebody online. And I guess now that I can see this, Kathy wasn't there before. Kathy Biala, would you like to make a statement?
Yes, it's a question, it's a quick one. Because we are discussing signage,
And I know that on our beaches, there's only a very small area that includes the sanctuary and also the regional park district where they do allow dogs on leash. And it's always been an issue because there's really not very clear indications where somebody now needs to have no dogs on the beach, like our Marina State Beach. So I couldn't really tell from the signage. I didn't look at it so closely, but are there any signs dedicated to sort of the education of why dogs on leash is important, but also that it shouldn't be extending beyond the boundaries to the other areas that have absolutely no dogs allowed?
There are no such signs as part of this package about dogs on leashes. This is a complicated situation as both of the adjoining public property owners have no dogs allowed.
Yes.
So this is a tenuous situation where there is a private property between two resource agencies, public properties, sharing a portion of the beach. So this particular property boundary at the mean high tide, roughly, you can have dogs, I believe, off leash even if you can control them within this private property. However, we know that dogs run around. So as soon as they go below the mean high tide onto the wave slope, then it becomes the situation where there are supposed to be no dogs. Park District to the north and the Marina State Beach to the south have their own signs of no dogs allowed or dogs on leashes, depending on snowy plover season. So that has been an ongoing thing. I've received a few calls, not about this project, but about this property over the last couple of years. And I've actually referred people to the Coastal Commission because that is directly a coastal access issue. So that would be something for the Coastal Commission to take up when they're considering the coastal development permit or waiver for this project, is to have those protective signs at the wave slope where this property ends and goes into like State Lands Commission jurisdiction.
So that you're saying that there's a parallel, the parallel to the ocean restriction or non-restriction, but I was talking about not the parallel, but the perpendicular restrictions. Because if you take Marina State Beach and there is a sign that's not very well visible, but it says, you cannot, this is the point where there is no dogs allowed. But it seems that the sanctuary should take some responsibility for notifying, that there are some restrictions to dogs on the contiguous beach front.
If it is the desire of the whole commission, we could add a little subsection to the conditions of approval, specifically number 4, where it really this is about landscaping, but we could add one in there that asks the developer to include a certain number of their little accessory signs, their 25 little accessory signs, and maybe like 2 or 3 or 4, whatever the commission desires, could be used for like dogs on leash or some type of dog limitation.
Mhm.
No dogs.
Phrasing, no dogs beyond this point. Yes, something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know how you'd figured out how many other than where there's a path, there should be a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit, it's a little complicated in this setting. Obviously, there are like multiple jurisdictions right here in this tiny little place, but I would recommend that the commission require the developer to put several signs just generally fronting that beach edge.
That's right.
Because you don't only want it for the public access path, because the private guests of the hotel may have dogs and they have access all over the place.
Right.
So, I would recommend that if you were to add this condition, you'd kind of put them like, if you look at your plan set,
Actually, if you pull up page 7 of the packet. That's got a really good overview slide of where you can look at it. I mean, it's the same thing.
yeah, it's just the aerial. I mean, that slide works fine, actually, if you slide it over so you can see the left part of this screen. Yeah. So you can see the property line there that goes north-south, roughly. Guests of the resort can access the beach between all those little bungalows anywhere along there.
Ah,
So
Yeah.
that's not fenced. There isn't a barrier there. But the public can only access that little windy
Yeah.
dotted line path. So I think what Councilmember Biala maybe is talking about is putting a few signs along that whole frontage, so it's very clear to public and paying guests that there are dog limitations.
Yes, and for the reasons of protecting a threatened species, and that may be asking too much, but it really is about that, is that we're trying to protect the western snowy plovers.
So I'm supportive of adding that and making a percentage of the signs to support that. I'm trying to figure out how. Can you go back to that for a minute, please?
Approximately how many feet of appropriate for one sign every 20 or 30 feet?
Let's see, there's actually a survey sheet in your packet.
So
That would
actually,
have-
I'm thinking of it, I'm looking at it from a different perspective, that there are two groups of people that would be using this, well, 3. We have the residents in buildings 612 southward down to 603, 602, 602, 601. That entire section that basically have beach access. That's group number 1. So they have direct access. Then we have the remainder of the guests that are in the 700 series buildings that are on the interior, that are going to be walking down. They could walk through the center between 2 buildings, but they'll probably walk over to the path and then down. And then we have the general public that could come either east or west along the path. And so the first part of it, if we start with the easy one, group 3, which is the public that could be entering from the beach or from the parking lot to access the beach, then that's putting a sign at either end of the path. So that would be 2 signs, one at each side, basically saying, here, this is where you're at. For the interior side, I think you're addressed with the concept of, okay, the same signs would work for group 2, the interior residents or guests, that would work for the public, which then leaves group 1, which are all the guests who live in property that can specifically walk down and access the beach. And in that respect, I'm not as confident that putting one sign every 50 feet or 100 feet necessarily would have the effect. Actually, mine would be, could we, and this is where public property versus the internal property of a building. Really, could it be a sign that they put by their rear deck? That basically there's a sign that goes on each of the buildings. That's not necessarily an accessory sign, but it could just be a sign that it is a smaller one that's this big that literally goes on the property, just reminding, hey, guests, you have to do this. That go just on that series, the 600, 612, 611, 610, 609, all those that front the dunes themselves. I mean, I don't know if that's because now we are crossing into kind of a knowledge, a different way of presenting it. But I think that would give a better, we probably have higher compliance with that than if we just we just said, oh yeah, we're just going to put signs every 75 feet on the beachfront. I mean, what's going to happen is people are going to ignore the signs. It's one thing when they see sensitive habitat. It's another thing when they see those, they'll just ignore it because they already have a dog there.
Maybe it's not a signage issue at all.
Is it a
Be-
new
oh.
requirement, no dogs on the beach?
No.
No.
It's been around for
No.
years.
Yeah.
So, and so,
What I'm suggesting is
Yeah.
that, within their little book that's in every room, there's rules and regulations in there. And could we ask them just to add
in lieu of
a rule in
lieu
there?
of adding accessory signs along
Yeah.
the edge there, I still think we require the signs along the pathway,
Yes, the public.
but to the rooms that access the beach, I mean, I agree with you. I think individualized attention is going to have a higher compliance rate than just putting a sign that's just remotely out there. But again, I think we're crossing out of the bounds of what we necessarily can control.
Yeah, I don't really see a nexus between this permit application
Right.
and educational in-room things. But I do definitely see a nexus of assigning however many of those little signs that they're already planning on doing about sensitive habitat to be dedicated to dog.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
Knowledge.
I would just say 20%. With 25%, well, there's 25, so 25%, of which a minimum of 2 of that 25% need to go at both ends of the pathway. So that would be the condition I have. And I think maybe from a staff side of it is just talk to them about
Yeah.
what I just don't think, I don't think adding the accessory signs along the beach side of it is really going to be, I just don't think it's beneficial. I would rather have just people notice sensitive habitat signs because they're so used to seeing them now around different places. So they're more likely to see a sensitive habitat and not cross into that sensitive habitat. I'm not sure if that same would hold true for don't bring your dog. Not that it's not important. I just am thinking of compliance of what's the most effective use of our signs. So again, I don't think we don't have control over that to the point of it's not a nexus. It's not there. It's not part of the permit. I don't think we can't make it a condition, but just from a staff side, say this, hey, as part of our discussion, this was kind of our thought process and and kind of our context of why we didn't want to demand or put a condition to add signs along that perimeter area line necessarily because we think that's, you got it, my point.
So just so I'm clear, the commission is not specifying dog signs.
No, 25%.
25% of the 25. Okay.
25%.
Just making
of
sure we
which-
got it.
My recommendation is 25%, of which 2 of them are at each end of the windy pathway. One by the road and one by the beach side.
Okay.
Which would leave them 3 to place wherever they think is best.
And to add to that, just so we're very clear on what the sign should say, could we say that they're using like state parks signage language or something like that, just so it's very clear?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that actually would be good because it would match what the state park is a quarter of a mile away.
Right. Okay.
Does that, thoughts on that? Okay. Thanks, Seth, for bringing that up, and thanks, Kathy, for raising that issue. That's something that,
So are we closing public comment?
I guess Kathy, you have something else? You are the only one, so I'm kind of changing the rule a little
No,
bit.
thank you very much, Commission.
Sure. Yes.
And
So
Zoom
now-
Zoom user is not, we determined the Zoom user is not a member of the public here to comment.
we asked that person to comment. They did not
Okay.
choose to unmute themselves, so.
Does that work? That close public comment? So,
Yep.
yeah, keep me honest. Okay. All right. So now we've done public comment, we've done local comment, we've done online. We've made a change we've made one change on the condition.
Yep.
And like, I make a motion does not work. So now we'll go back to somebody. Commissioner Jacobson, would you like to make the motion again? The full motion with the change in condition?
I would love to do that. I move to adopt resolution 2025-11, approving a design review permit, file number SAD 25-0006 for signage and landscaping improvements within the Sanctuary Beach Resort complex located at 3295 Dunes Drive, subject to findings, conditions of approval, and SEQA exemptions 15301H and 15303E and 15311A pertaining to landscape maintenance, accessory structures, and on-site signs respectively. In addition, adding a condition that pertains to the access of dogs beyond the property to the beach area, which was 25% of the signs, one of which is at the end of the public path, one of which is at the beginning of the public path, and the other three are at their discretion.
I second.
Allison, does that all make? So we have a second from Commissioner Walton. Go ahead and take a vote.
Commissioner Barron, Commissioner Rana,
Yes.
Vice Chair Walton,
Yes.
Chair Woodson,
Yes.
Commissioner St. John,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thanks. Yes, it was Commissioner Walton was the second. Okay, next up on the agenda tonight is informational items, which does not look like we have any. And then staff and major project updates.
None at this time. If you go to the packet, you'll see that we just have a series of announcements.
I know, I'm
So
literally looking at the agenda right now. So would you like to run through the announcements?
yeah, that's, so we did have I put it in the packet, even though the meeting was after the fact. We did have a multicultural festival at Vince DiMaggio. CDD staff were there. Brian and Zach, our intern, seemed like a really great turnout. We do have the city's 50th anniversary going to be on Vista del Camino. They're going to block off the road, whole bunch of booths and local businesses. So go out on October 18th from 12 to 4. And just a reminder, we are partnering with the VTC, my department, for the Veterans Day event at the Veterans Transition Center as part of our housing element implementation. One of our action items is to do an annual veterans type event where we not just have a party to honor veterans, but we're going to have wraparound services, legal services will be there. People from the food bank, referrals for dental and haircut and how to get your VA benefits. And so, yeah, so this will be an annual thing that I'll be organizing. And so definitely look forward to having the commission there. So.
Yeah. Actually, I'll add to that, that we're changing, we're going to do a flyer that as part of that marketing to support a food drive to support the commissary. So there's a separate commissary that the VTC runs for two groups, one for veterans who are trying to get back on their feet and just learning how to shop because they don't necessarily know they've lost that skill set. And then the second one is they also once a week open up the commissary to local families, veteran families, basically of active duty service members who are stationed here, who are below the very low income level and need the support and assistance. So that's a separate thing that's going to be doing as part of it. So So if you come out to the event, bring a food item to donate to the food drive.
Yeah, I just thought of something else that's not on there. They're having an open house at the Veterans Transition, that new apartment complex that we visited several months ago.
Yes, that, I don't have the exact date, but yes, I did see that. So,
Okay. Thanks for adding those. I think that's a nice thing to constantly, if we could do that down the road on these things in the future, I think it's a good thing to promote across the city. Because most people go to the city council page and look at those things, but ours is shorter. And if they come here, we should be promoting the other things that are going on. in the city.
absolutely, we can certainly do that. That's fine.
Okay, next up is correspondence. Do we have anything?
There's none.
We have no correspondence. Okay. Let's see, what else am I missing? I think that was it, isn't it? Like correspondence, yeah, after correspondence is 11, which is adjournment. But it says it's at 7:39, so technically we have to sit here for 17
No, we
more
don't.
minutes
No, we don't.
and wait
So,
because Guido put in at 7:39 PM in the agenda.
where are you?
In the actual packet that is online, the
Right?
PDF file. Literally it says adjournment 7:39 PM.
Oh, yeah,
I
they
know.
probably carried that
I know.
over from the minutes, so. Yeah.
I-
No,
I-
we can go home whenever you want, so.
So
So,
that's fine. I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Stuck.